And welcome back everybody to TeamLiquid StarLeague North American Qualifier number 1. And I do apologize for the rocky start to the broadcast. Anything that went wrong. You know, we were struggling to get into lobbies. I'm solo casting. We started the broadcast a little bit late, and we even disconnected. The internet even went down as well as we were trying to get into Australia versus Namshar. Feels bad, man. But we are finally back. We finally have a series. Again, when it comes to Namshar versus Australia, that is being covered by Rotterdam. The winner of that series, which I believe is going to be Australia, is going up against Trigger. That is going to be casted by not just Rotterdam, but Beomov and also Steadfast. All three of them are going to be casting that on their own respective channels. So if you want that PvP, they got you. Meanwhile, we have a PvP of our own, because spawning in the top left hand corner of Cosmic Sapphire ESL, we have the American Protoss player. He is red, representing Onside Gaming. It is Neeb. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Cosmic Sapphire ESL, we have the other American player. We have the the purple American Protoss player representing Team Super. It is Rhizer. Oh boy, can anyone stop this man? Not so much Rhizer, but Neeb, because Neeb is the I think most people would agree, the best player in all of North America. He got up to the top 8. He got into the quarterfinals of DreamHack Valencia as well, who's doing very well for himself. Very strong, very solid play. And yeah, who can stop him? The other big dogs, of course, are Australia, your Trigger, but can Rhizer cause the upset, especially because we are in a PvP, especially because we are playing on some of these newer maps? I want to believe. If you don't know who Rhizer is, he's been in the scene for a number of years now, but recently gaining a little bit more notoriety because he did represent Team India in Nation Wars alongside Demi. Rhizer, his parents are both from India, so he does have that kind of dual citizenship going on, so he was able to represent that nation. But here he is, of course, living in North America and looking to make a name for himself. He's doing really well for himself when it comes to the online weekly tournaments as well, but it still feels like he has a ways to go when it comes to catching up to players, not just like Neeb in Australia, but also Trigger, Paddy Mac. I would argue maybe even Nina. It's hard to say because, of course, Nina did go on a hiatus recently as well. So it's kind of I want to see like where I can place Rhizer here, because he's going for a very interesting opener. Neeb going for something standard, going for a Twilight Council opener, I imagine, to go into Blink, going for his expansion on low ground. Meanwhile, Rhizer delays his expansion. Neeb forcefully delays it as well, as he is going for a Robo follow-up as well. No! The Probe Scout gets in. The Adepts were a little bit too slow. The Robo has been scouted. Meanwhile, across the map, 2 Adepts try to sneak on in, and Neeb is a little bit slow to pull the trigger, forced to recall as well, as these Adepts are dealing a surprising amount of damage. A little bit uncharacteristic there, but Neeb ends up slipping up. He was a little bit too distracted and loses 7+ probes in the process. 9? 8 in the end. Nice moves here by Rhizer. Unfortunately, he did go for a 4 Adept opening, which means that killing this pylon is going to take that much longer. Even though Rhizer has a worker lead, Neeb is going to have a natural expansion, and he can produce 2 workers at a time and make up for his deficit. So it feels as if Rhizer had to deal that damage just because of how delayed his natural base is. Meanwhile, the Robo opener means we have a lot of Immortals to work with, and we'll see how this kind of plays out. It means that Rhizer, he can push out with 2, maybe even 3 Immortals with his main army. Sure, he's going to be lacking Blink Stalkers, sure, he's going to be lacking overall Gateway units, but he's going to have so much firepower with these early Immortals. Again, this Immortal count is slowly going to get higher and higher. Meanwhile, across the map, the second two adepts are still here looking to try and find a way in. Rhizer still maintains a worker lead, by the way, and he's going to be able to shade into at least the natural. We do have a lot of Blink Stalkers, we do have some shield batteries, but again, the shade is going on. Oh my, again, he gets into the main base, he commits to the shade, and he's going to be focusing down as many workers as he can. Neeb, once again, being a little bit lazy here, walling off. He only loses 2 probes this time, but again, 2 probes or any kind of worker damage in a mirror matchup, it matters. What's important though is that even though Neeb has been losing workers, he has not been losing army. He has a pretty strong force stalker count. He has blink as well. His army is looking terrifying. Rhizer has to do something soon, and he will. He's working on his warp prism. He's going to be moving out without blink, but with sentries and with immortals instead. 2 immortals to be exact. And he may not have blink, but if his warp prism micro is good enough, it's going to be like he has blink. Not just on his stalkers, but also on his immortals. Here we go. I feel like Rhizer is pretty committed with this. He has to be very careful though, because Neeb is moving out. The last thing that Rhizer can afford is to, say, lose any of these units on the way across the map, whether it's a warp prism, whether it's immortal, whether it's anything, and Neeb has eyes on this. The immortals have been scattered. Neeb rotates around. He turns around. He's running all the way back home. He doesn't want to force a base trade. Ooh, he's actually... Okay, he was thinking about maybe trying to dip on in, maybe trying to catch a stray unit here or there. Rhizer, he's being very careful. Again, babysitting that warp prism. Force fields are going to be okay. Again, we have blinks, so force fields aren't that amazing. They can reduce surface area. They can make the fight a little bit more awkward. Already one stalker going down. The immortals dishing out so much damage, but... Rhizer also loses a couple of stalkers in the process as well. Again, it's really awkward pushing in, and we do have 2 shield batteries. We do not have an overcharge. Oh god, the micro are looking pretty good so far. The immortals doing whatever they can, but we need another warp in, puppy. We need another warp in. Overcharge is popped. We gotta respect the overcharge though, Rhizer, and it looks like he is being forced all the way back. We're running out of units again. We need a warp in. Oh god. Another stalker goes down. We have a couple of stalkers on the way. It looks like Rhizer is barely holding on, but no, a little bit of miss micro. A little bit of miscontrol. The first immortal goes down, and so will everything else. Neeb, he's able to defend beautifully. Now with his own immortals as well, he shuts down this aggression. Rhizer loses everything. Ay, ay, ay. Meanwhile, back at home, he's trying to expand and take a 3rd base, but this is ambitious to say the least, because Neeb is counter-attacking. This 3rd base is not long for this world. The natural base isn't long for this world either. I don't know if Rhizer can hold on after that. Losing both immortals and the prism, ay, ay, ay. If he had at least kept that alive, then maybe he would have a chance, but there we go. There we have the cancel. Neeb, he's going to bust on in. Blink is already done. We do have a shield battery. We do have overcharge. We have 2 shield batteries even. Oh god. I don't know if that's going to be enough. The armor already being popped here for Rhizer. Neeb expanding behind this, getting further ahead. The one saving grace for Rhizer is that Neeb doesn't have a way to reinforce. He doesn't have a prism or even a warp in location like a proxy gateway unit or a pylon or anything like that. So yeah, Neeb, he doesn't want to risk it. He's going to back off in the end. Rhizer has survived, but has he really? I do like this from Rhizer though. He's working on a Dark Shrine. He needs something. He needs some way to come back into this game, and a Dark Shrine will definitely help. But it's also pretty, you know, pretty committed, and if we have detection, then it doesn't matter. And I'm afraid to look, but we do have 2 forms of detection. We have 1 observer across the map and 1 observer back at home as well. Neeb should be fine against these DTs. Oh boy, should be. To be fair, we have a prism on the way, so there's a world where maybe the prism sneaks DTs into the main base, and maybe Neeb doesn't respond in time, and maybe Rhizer gets probe kills. A lot of maybes there, but maybe. We'll see as Rhizer is moving out across the map. Again, the immortal count is looking pretty high for Rhizer, and that does make up for his deficit when it comes to the overall supply. But we have a 3rd base, we have a shield battery. Again, he's feeling pretty committed here. I wonder how he's going to use the DTs. Is he going to try and sneak them in and deal economic damage, or is he going to use them in the main army? And because he has an observer with his main army, he could even try and snipe the observer of Neeb, and then have the DTs go to town. Quickly looking at the units here, do have 1 observer with that main army. It is pretty well protected though, so I don't know how much damage you can, or how much Rhizer can really do here with it. The DT's trying to sneak on in, and oh god, they have been revealed. They're being used in the main army. Oh, No, he tries to snipe the observer, but it barely survives. Just like that, Neeb has detection. GG gets called, and Neeb takes game number 1. I love the move there by Rhizer. Again, he specifically blinked forward to try and snipe the observer, but Neeb was a little bit too wise to what was going on. He pulls the observer back just in time, and boom, just like that, Neeb takes the lead and is up 1-0 in this best of 3. GG, well played. And now we are getting ready for game numero 2. Also, exclamation mark Funada for sure is in the other people in the chat, because they were talking about like tornadoes in Texas or sharknadoes, and like, mate, I'm not from Texas. I'm not from Texas. Hashtag fake news. Time for internet to crash again. We must pause. No. My internet should be fine. I don't know what it is, but fun fact, my internet dies like at least once a day, maybe once every couple of days. Especially in the early morning. I don't know what causes it, but outages do happen. Specifically here in this room. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. But hopefully everything should be fine here. We've already had our 1 DC for the day, and spawning in the bottom left hand corner of Tropical Sacrifice ESL, we have the American Hope, the American Dream, representing Onside Gaming, the Red Protoss. It is Neeb. And spawning in the top right hand corner of Tropical Sacrifice ESL, we have his opponent, the player who had a little bit of momentum in the first game, struggled to close it out though, representing Team Super. It is Rhizer. Looking to rise on up. Again, he had some very nice harassment damage done last game with his Glaive Adepts, or with his, regular Adepts. And he had a very nice timing with his Immortal push as well afterwards, but there was a little bit lacking in the execution. His natural was delayed as well, so he was forced to deal that much more damage. It was a nice start, but a rookie finish there for Rhizer. We'll see if he can make up for it here in game number 2. I do think a little bit will come down to the openers. Interesting choice. Neeb goes for the high ground double gate expand. Meanwhile, Rhizer with the 1 gate expand, making use of this ramp. Rhizer has no fear, going for a much more economic opener, or it should be. We'll see how annoying Neeb can be trying to delay this Nexus. There we go, we have the 2 gateways thrown down, the Cyber Core as well for both of our players. Again, Rhizer has the opportunity to take the lead early on in the economy, as he already has the first Zelda on the way. Again, the purpose of this is in case Neeb throws down a pylon, which he should, this Zelda will be able to deal with it so that a Nexus can eventually be thrown down. Is the way that the meta has evolved over time. Again, Neeb waiting to the last moment. He wants to force out the Zealot, even without throwing down a pylon. It's just that much more efficient. There we go, the Zealot comes out. We're not going to see a pylon. All it took was the probe patrolling around for that to happen. So some inadvertent damage already dealt here to Rhizer, but there we go. Boom. Natural base is thrown down. Meanwhile, across the map, Rhizer is still scouting with his first probe. The goal here is to see what the first 2 units are going to be, whether they're Adepts, whether they're Sentries, or whether they're Stalkers, or even a combination of the 2. Rhizer at least confirms that it is going to be a Nexus here for Neeb, so knows that there's no like weird 1-base play coming out or anything like that. And he actually doesn't see the first units. He doesn't really know what's coming his way. Neeb going to be getting that map control here with his first couple of Stalkers. And Rhizer just goes for a full wall off. You love to see it. Unfortunately, his range units are very limited right now, so these Stalkers are going to be able to deal some damage. Is there a world where they can get the pylon? Okay. We do have 1 Stalker here to defend for Rhizer. He's going to be okay. The pylon is under threat, but with 1 Stalker and with a Sentry as well, we should be fine. Should be fine. Should be fine. Uh-oh, Sentry going to be taking a lot of damage as well. Shield batteries on the way, though. Again, Rhizer doing his best to try and keep this alive, but no, the pylon is going to go down! Oh my god! It's such a shame that he went for a Sentry instead of a second Stalker. Rhizer, I mean. Oh my god, all the production is depowered. No! Do have 1 pylon on the way, but Neeb has done so much with so little. We don't even have Warp Gate, puppy. Ah. Rhizer does have his second Nexus up and running, so he can make up for that. He's going to try and fight here, but the control so far from Neeb is a little bit too good. Shield Battery will be able to keep everything alive for Rhizer, and there we go. Finally, he maintains control of his natural base, but Neeb takes a lead in the worker count. Oh boy. Again, very nice moves here by Neeb, exploiting some... I don't even know if I want to call them mistakes. Like, going for a sentry isn't the worst thing, because we can go for a hallucination, we can go for a scout. The sad reality is, though, that it did mean that he lost a pylon, his gateways were delayed, like everything, it just wasn't worth it. We do have a full scout coming in here with this hallucination, just confirming, okay, you have been probing up, you know, your army still consists of stalkers, you haven't thrown down many additional gateways, there is a robo, so Rhizer is fully aware of what Neeb is up to, but just because he's aware doesn't mean he can do much about it. I mean, he can't even leave his base. It's a full warlock. Aye. Behind this, Neeb expanding, taking his third base here on location, moving out with his stalkers, gaining that map control, just making sure that Rhizer is still stuck and contained in his own main base. And again, there's no way for Rhizer to leave, at least until a War Prism comes out. Do you have a bit of a gateway explosion though on 2 bases from Rhizer? I kind of like to see it. Oof. So basically, Neeb invested in the Nexus, Rhizer threw down 4 more gates instead. So again, this is going to be completely all in. Blink is done for both of our players. Neeb, though, is looking to sneak into the main base and get a full scatter. Oh boy. Oh, Neeb does see the stalkers are in position, so he backs up, but he did see that 2 gateways were in production, so he has a piece of the puzzle back at home. Shield Battery should be on the way soon, because otherwise Neeb, he's going to be falling behind when it comes to the overall army count. So far, Rhizer just warping in another handful of stalkers, getting ready to move out as well. War Prism going in across the map. Interesting. I mean, this makes sense. Like, Neeb was threatening the main base, so Rhizer has to keep his army at home. He can harass across the map, but I feel like he needs everything coming out together here. Again, he's still stuck on 2 bases. He still doesn't have a third. We gotta go. And go we shall. Oh. Rhizer, okay, working on his pylon, making sure he doesn't get supply blocked. The army is congregating here towards the southern side of the map. Do you have 1 shield battery? So you have 2 pylons being thrown down. Neeb is a little bit out of position here towards the north, so I love this angle of attack from Rhizer. Is it going to be enough there? Rhizer does have a 5 stalker lead, and his army does get scouted. Oh, he does have that one-shot potential with his stalkers so far, trading relatively well, but shield battery overcharge is popped, and Immortal rocks up, and Rhizer has to respect this. He cannot fight this army. Ooh. Loses a couple of stalkers as he tries to retreat here. He's being forced all the way back to his War Prism. He will just blink on forward though, and he will be able to take down that Immortal. Yo, Rhizer has a little bit of momentum. Overcharge has run out, but again, the defender's advantage is just a little bit too good for Neeb. He pulls the boys, and mate, he can afford to pull some boys right now. He can afford to lose some workers. He blinks on board, and he focuses down that War Prism, and just like that, Neeb is going to be able to shut down this push. Not just this push, but also the game, because again, Rhizer was all in. GG gets called. Neeb does it. He takes the series 2-0. Ah. Oh, God. Again, like, because of how aggressive Neeb was being, because he was already in the face of Rhizer across the map, threatening that main base, that delayed the push. That meant that Rhizer had to stay at home that much longer, when he really just wanted to go across the map as soon as possible. GG, well played, and as you can see on the screen, there we go. Neeb will advance on in this series. He's going to move on to face the winner of Australia and Trigger.